There isn't a single moviegoer right now, casual, competitive, or otherwise, who has not seen Obsession. Cory Barker's debut cinema release has broken countless records, grossed over 500 times its budget of $750,000, and thrust Barker onto the center stage of Hollywood. But as with all great filmmakers, one of which I'm already convinced that Barker is going to be, this didn't come out of nowhere. Loads of you would have seen his other feature, Milk and Cereal, or his popular award winner, The Chair, but we can go much deeper than that. You could call his catalogue an iceberg of sorts. From old horror shorts on his comedy sketch YouTube channel That's a Bad Idea, to unlisted films on separate channels, shades of Obsession were present from the very beginning. Now, listen, I am not just an Obsession fan, I am a Cory Barker fan. I'd seen the sketches, I'd watched Milk and Cereal at least 3 or 4 times before Obsession came out, and a few of the other short films here and there, but I had no idea how many there were, and today, I am going to watch them all.
Don't put too much pressure on your first, second, third, fourth, fifth film. Don't do that. Like, go make a shitty film. Allow yourself to make 5 bad films.
I recommend going and checking these out for yourself, even if you watch this whole video. They are genuinely excellent, and although I'm going to be spitting spoilers, a lot of them aren't really affected by spoilers, and if you want to use this video as a kind of guide, then be my guest. All the videos will be linked down in the description. So, without further ado, let's start at the top of the iceberg. Obsession. I'm not going to spend long on Obsession since everyone under the sun has been talking about it. It follows a passive, love-struck young man named Bear who resorts to the seemingly innocuous One Wish Willow when he finds himself unable to confess his feelings to his friend Nikki due to a lack of confidence.
Do you like me?
No.
He wishes for her to love him more than anyone else in the world, and horror ensues. This film is excellent. From start to finish, it never wastes a moment. Every scene serves a purpose, even the scary ones. Except, like, why did she his cat? I still haven't figured that one out. Watching Nikki do all these terrifying things, with her real self occasionally coming through, and then watching Bear turn around and say, that is gut-wrenching stuff. And it sticks the landing in a way that very few horror films do. I find that when a film promises more than its medium can deliver, such as is the case with those eerie, mysterious moments in the first 2/3 of a standard horror, the ending can fall flat. But Obsession never does this. It has those eerie, scary moments, but it never promises more than it can deliver. The climax of the film hits you with this intense horror and loud tragedy initially, and then one gut-wrenching moment with Bear in the bathroom where he fails to redeem himself, and another more important one when Nikki wakes up on the sofa. Seriously, I left the cinema stunned and disturbed. Now, for the rest of Barker's films, I want to look for moments which clearly served as a kind of testing ground for Obsession to try and trace his filmmaking style. And hopefully, bit by bit, we'll discover exactly where Obsession came from, along with some good-ass short films along the way. First on the watch list, and second level on the iceberg, are his 2 most popular YouTube releases, starting with the longest. Milk and Cereal. Oh man, what a banger. Milk and Cereal follows 2 YouTube pranksters, Milk and Seven, in a twisting found footage narrative made for less than $800 and starring Barker, his creative partner and co-writer Cooper Tomlinson, aka Ian from Obsession, and their friends. As I've said, I've watched this quite a few times already. It's got so many twists and turns, and actually commits to some very creepy moments where it's just Barker, a mask, and the camera.
What do you mean you don't like it?
And always, just when you think you know where this film is going, it throws something else at you. Milk and Seven constantly try to outdo each other with their pranks, and now Milk is sick of playing second fiddle. The twist is that he happens to be a serial killer, committed to documenting his craft and becoming one of the greats. After Seven uses a gun filled with blanks for a prank during Milk's birthday party, Milk's plan is set in motion, where he uses one actor, Seven's fake gun, and a whole lot of trickery to fulfill his ultimate kill. Make Seven commit a murder and then drive him to suicide, documented like a standard YouTube prank.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing.
Thanks for being a fan.
It also has moments peppered in from Milk's disturbing torture of a girl named Lara, which provided for me the creepiest moments by far. And the ending will guaranteed take you by surprise, once again delivering on exactly what the film promised. This film is just so engaging, and it plays with time a lot, so you'll see one thing happen and then you go back and see it from a different perspective, because both Seven and Milk are documenting things, which just elevates it from a found footage film that I think I could make to something that requires so much script writing talent. And the fact that they both smash their acting roles out the park just makes me so excited for their upcoming film Anything But Ghosts, which they both star in. In reference to Obsession, I think the satisfying nature of the ending matches, with every character acting exactly as we've come to expect, but still delivering the twist. Seven's descent in the last part of the film leads perfectly into his final action, similar to Bear, and depending on your interpretation of that last ambiguous shot, Milk is undone by his most controlling desires. The dark comedy of Obsession is also here as well, but other than that, it's such a completely different style of film that it's hard to draw too many comparisons. Overall, it's going to be firmly high up in my ranking of all of Barker's films, which I will do at the end of the video, so stick around, please. Yeah, that is just as disturbing as I remember. The Chair follows Reese, a seemingly ordinary man who picks up an antique chair as a surprise for his partner Julie. However, it is immediately clear that something is wrong when Reese forgets an entire week of his life, including when he was racist to a coworker and got fired.
I don't remember an entire week of my life. I blacked out.
Really?
And I think it has something to do with the chair.
That night he wakes to find an old man sitting in the chair, and this is how Julie reacts. This is scary as hell. I love the performance from Haley Schwartz, and I love the guile to just go for this, because I feel like on paper this might not come across as scary at all. The film ends with the old man, Dead Man Franklin, standing before the bodies of the four characters in the film other than Reese, explaining the euphoric chemicals released in the brain during death. My theory is that Reese, who is now an old man with Alzheimer's, is reliving old memories like a flashback as he dies. This is such a terrifying idea, and the film plays a lot like One Long Nightmare, having these moments of sanity but constantly shifting in a barely coherent manner to keep Reese and the audience disoriented. That moment in the bedroom feels like such a precursor to Nikki in Obsession, a mood shift that is so sudden it's disturbing, making you wonder what is really going on. Also, the way the music works, suddenly stopping on specific lines of dialogue, feels very Obsession-esque. And of course, brick to the face. Now, those are Barker's most well-known films before Obsession. From what I can gather, it was these two films which secured him the funding for Obsession. Now, the third level of the iceberg will be the horror shorts published to the YouTube channel That's a Bad Idea, aka these three. Warnings. Okay, that was good. That was very good. Warnings is a mind-melting film with a purposefully unreliable narrator. It follows the character of Sean, played by Barker. He begins the film on a call to his friend while on the way to a Halloween party, explaining how he just barely avoided being hit by a white SUV. At first it seems like an innocuous, irrelevant conversation just to go in the background of the opening shot, but, as I've stated, Barker doesn't like to waste scenes.
No, that was a near-death experience, dude.
As he explains this, the camera zooms in on a note on his car door reading, "I'm begging you to stop." It's a great premise straight away, and the film plays out like a nightmare, much like The Chair. It also takes its time with the horror, focusing on showing us how confusing Sean's perspective is with these creepy, barely coherent conversations, but there are two particular sequences which are just hugely unnerving.
Wanna stop, pose.
And shout out again to Barker and Tomlinson for their acting chops, as well as Haley Fitzgerald, also of Obsession fame. In terms of Obsession, Warnings is much more high concept, moving between an allegory for mental health and an allegory for purgatory. Yes, if you hadn't guessed by the way I focused on that conversation at the start, I believe that Sean is dead the entire time.
Dude, I'd shoot to death right there.
I think the idea of being in denial of one's death is more relevant to obsession than you might think on the surface, but my most important takeaway from Warnings was the way that Barker is playing with scares. I love how none of the effects or techniques overstay their welcome, being used sparingly but also not being shied away from so as to create that unfulfillable promise that I mentioned earlier. Enigma. Okay, if I'm being honest, I didn't need to watch Enigma because it is the entire reason that I made this video. It was written by Tomlinson but directed by Barker and takes place in a world where everyone has kind of accepted that the apocalypse is coming.
Why are you still working?
Well, they keep scheduling me, so why not?
It's not a horror, which is unique for this pair, but a psychological thriller. Adam, played by Tomlinson, is struggling with his purpose, feeling utterly pessimistic and depressed about the end of the world and having nobody to share it with. Not only do I love the budget world building here, with vague references to what is really going on and what I would say are fairly realistic responses from the rest of humankind, but the emotion got me. There is a scene where Adam calls his mother to let her know that essentially he regrets the way he's lived with life and he now intends to go and reconnect with an old friend. And she says this.
Stop, I don't want to hear this. I'm sick of it.
What?
I don't have time for it. I don't have time for it. We all don't have time for it. Figure out how you want to spend your days, but please don't waste mine with this negative energy.
This kind of dialogue is what made Obsession sad as well as scary, and I was really surprised to see that they were technically written by different people. I also find that in both cases, Barker isn't afraid to let an actor's performance carry a scene when necessary. That slow, long zoom in is great, and trusting your actors is one of the main reasons that Obsession worked. Also, yeah, Tomlinson kills it here. Heavy Eyes. Heavy Eyes is an extremely short film but so effective in what it's trying to do. It's slightly more on the nose with its purgatory-like themes, but man, those initial scares were properly scary.
I saw you.
It's just a kid named Seth sitting at home trying not to fall asleep as he writes his college cover letter when he starts hearing sounds in the house. His mom comes home eventually, except it's not his mom.
Hey honey, I just want to let you know that I'm home.
Jesus, Mom, you scared me. I thought you weren't coming home.
In terms of references to Obsession, the shadowy imagery of the mum really carries over. It's actually uncanny seeing the beginnings of his unique style in those scenes. The unnerving, unnaturally cheery delivery of disturbing lines, which are often in his short films, are present here too.
I died at the hospital. That's my replacement.
And remind me of the customer service call in Obsession. Having someone treat something terrifying so casually is basically classic Barker at this point. Also, he kills it as Seth. And those are the three on the third level of the Iceberg, all of which are just available on their YouTube channel and have plenty of views. I would also throw in Fly Me to the Earth here, which is not directed by Barker or Tomlinson, but stars them and is produced by them. It's really good. I really enjoy it. I'm not going to talk about it at all, but I recommend going to check it out. And now we're down to the fourth level of the Iceberg, where we'll talk about some of the unlisted films of Barker's. Drywall. I won't lie, I didn't get this one. It begins with a kind of interesting premise of these two guys listening to their neighbors argue through a wall, and it leads to them talking about their future and whether they want kids. Eventually, they think that they hear a murder happen.
I think we just witnessed a murder.
And then the film just becomes Enigma. World War III has broken out all of a sudden, and there's nothing that the two of them can do except wait to die from chemical poisoning. I don't really understand the initial eavesdropping scene. I get that it starts them talking about the future, but it kind of goes nowhere for me. With the writing and the framing and the performances, I did get a bit emotional at the end as the two discuss their futures while knowing that really they're not going to have one.
Yeah, well, at least I'm not married to a ginger.
But this one was not for me. Like, why the Russian guy killing his wife? In terms of Obsession...
No.
Other than that, good dialogue, but not much else. Meanwhile, Outside the Bank is great. It's a low-budget comedy about two ordinary guys who have just decided to rob a bank. The whole thing takes place here in this one van, and it's just more of that dialogue that Barker and Tomlinson really excel at. These really are just some guys who've decided to do this, and they're both half freaking out about it and half super committed.
Let's rob a bank! Rob a bank! Whoa, 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 what the What the dude? What? I don't know, you were just acting like you weren't too sure about doing this thing. Now you're opening up the door so fast. Well, you inspired me. Just hold on for a second, okay?
It makes me think of the two-person dialogue scenes in Obsession, of which there are many, especially the ones between Ian and Bear. Those conversations seemed effortlessly realistic, but this film and Drywall show how long it's taken the pair to hone their craft. Real World. Okay, Real World is Barker's second oldest film, and it has noticeably more amateur production. The effects aren't amazing, some of the filters on the outside scenes are just really strange, and it's clear that the camera, sound, and lighting equipment are pretty rudimentary compared to their work after 2020. That being said, I love that it looks like this and still manages to tell a great little story. It's about a kid named Rivers and his friend Zach, who are both outcasts at school but end up attending a house party. Rivers, like Milk in Milk and Cereal, has a secret. He wants to kill people. There are visions he has throughout the film of murdering his classmates, and we're not entirely sure whether they're real or not. It's not the most creative idea, and it's not even that well executed, but there is a particular sequence where instead of imagining his desire to kill, he makes a connection.
Sometimes I have the urge to...
What?
Never mind.
Don't let anything ever get in the way of you wanting to do what you want to do. Ever.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, for example, what we want to do right now.
He speaks to a girl named Jasmine, and their conversation does multiple things. It endears us to his character even a little bit, as his awkward attempts to flirt end up actually working. It delivers some exposition about his past in a surprisingly natural way, and it shows us that he does have a desire to connect with people. And then it's revealed that this was all in his head too, and instead of flirting with the girl, he leaves the party in a rush. This seems to be the turning point where he decides that he just can't make connections with others, and his desire to kill becomes overwhelming. And in the end, when he finally kills his best friend, all he says is, "I did it," almost with relief. Although this film clearly embodies Barker's ideology of just go and make a shitty film, there are shades of subtle and well-crafted character motivations here. We don't agree with Rivers' actions, just like with Bear, but we understand why he's doing them. Genuinely, if you want to be a filmmaker and you're lacking motivation, watch this film and then watch Obsession, because this is exactly what you need to do. Make a film with no budget with your friends and start learning. Then maybe eventually you'll also create a masterpiece like Obsession. And yet, we still have one more level to go. We don't feel pain. We Don't Feel Pain is a found footage film about two people who attempt a ritual to enter purgatory. A very cool concept with obviously amateur production, like literally just a camera and two people. This is Barker's oldest film to date. It would be the hardest to find if it wasn't listed on a playlist on their main YouTube channel, which I thought was a bit strange. Spoiler alert, in the film they do enter purgatory and a couple of things happen. The coolest idea is that they can no longer feel pain, and it makes for the best moment in the film.
Wait! Oh my god!
And the final shot was also pretty interesting. However, it's like super short and doesn't have the trademark dialogue or emotion which I've come to expect from Barker. I do think it's interesting that in Obsession, Barker chose to have Nikki screaming down the phone in that one scene as if she were in purgatory. We Don't Feel Pain brings to mind the idea that perhaps this is how Nikki is experiencing Bear's wish. A kind of out-of-body experience which forces her to watch the events of the film. What I can say from watching these films is that Barker loves purgatory. A lot of films either explicitly mention it or have those kind of purgatory-esque themes in them, and I agree, I do find the concept very interesting. I hope one day he manages to make a feature film to explore this concept more. So, as you can tell, the final film on the Iceberg is not his oldest, but there is a reason that it's at the bottom. Contemplation. That wasn't what I expected. Contemplation is a harrowing short film about a woman who is trying to find the, I don't want to say courage, but the stomach to end her own life. There's only one actor, Adler Torres, only one setting, only one thing. It's just someone reckoning with ending their own life. I can't show many clips from it for YouTube monetization purposes. What I can say is that I found it. This is the short film which most inspired Obsession. The entire thing is almost a one-to-one of the climax where Bear realizes that he needs to die. What really stuck with me from that scene was the way that Bear was sort of feeling his chest to see where his heart was and feeling the back of his head to see where the bullet would come out. It made me think about being in a situation like that and inspired real, genuine, chilling fear just because of how real it was, how human it was to do those things, and the fact that Bear and Nikki could have lived a normal life, and now because of his actions it has come to this. And now I find out that this has been in Barker's head for years. The main character in Contemplation goes through the exact same motions, even down to swallowing the pills and then throwing them up. Even the music is the same. I thought I saw an interview where Barker said that it was the idea of Michael Johnston, the actor who plays Bear, to throw up the pills in that scene, but like, brother, you wrote that 6 years ago. The ending of this film is super dark, just like Obsession. It feels like a real look into those final moments. Not the depression or the tragedy that leads to suicidal feelings, and not even deciding that you are going to do it. It's the process of actually doing it. It's a brave thing to make early on, and I can understand how it made its way into Obsession. There's not much I can say to criticize it because it doesn't really intend on having a story. It's more of a snapshot, a moment. But Torres does a great job and it's effective despite its low budget. Low budget. And now we've reached the bottom of the iceberg, and I have to say, I think we've fully seen how Obsession was made. The natural dialogue comes from Meanwhile Outside the Bank and Drywall. The shadowy, unpredictable presence of Nikki comes from The Chair and Heavy Eyes. The hard-hitting emotion comes from Enigma. The strong character work comes from Real World. The dark comedy from Milk and Cereal. The unnerving scares from Warnings. And of course, one of the most impactful scenes in the film comes from Contemplation. Now, let's rank them. Number 11, We Don't Feel Pain. This is not unexpected. It doesn't really have a story, it's just a couple of kind of cool things happen and then it ends. Number 10, Drywall. Might be controversial, but I just didn't understand this one, as I said. I think this is one of the only times Barker is just sort of wasting scenes and I'm not really understanding their purpose. Number 9, Real World. Super amateur production, but I like that the characters are more complex than you would think. And it got some real emotions out of me, especially when they just slow down and focus on the dialogue. I really enjoy those parts. Number 8, Meanwhile Outside the Bank. A great little piece just focusing on dialogue alone, and I ended up being quite engrossed just from the pure dialogue and performances and literally nothing else. Really impressive considering. Number 7, Heavy Eyes. I didn't know where to put Heavy Eyes because I really liked it and I feel like I wanted to put it higher so badly. It possibly has the scariest moments of any of these films, but I'm not sure how much the ending stuck the landing for me, so despite the fact that I love it, it's coming in at 7. Number 6, Contemplation. Again, this is just a snapshot, it's barely a story, but it's done really well and it's done really quietly and subtly. Number 5, The Chair. This might be controversial. Something about The Chair doesn't jump out at me. I can recognize it's very good, it's obviously well written and the performances are really great, especially from Haley Schwartz, and I know the point of it is that it's nonsensical like A Nightmare or like someone living with Alzheimer's. I think it was just a bit too nonsensical for me sometimes, as if things were just happening for no reason. I just didn't find myself getting into the flow of it too much. Number 4, Warnings. This is just a great concept expanded upon into a very solid film. I'm not sure how much this would hold up as a feature-length film. I love the mystery of what's going on and the scene where the main two characters are having the argument and he says, "God damn it, Kyle."
Who am I talking to?
What do you mean?
Who is speaking?
You're speaking.
God damn it, Kyle!
It's really good writing and it has some unnerving ass scenes. Number 3, Enigma. This might be controversial because it's not even a horror film and I'm putting it this high up on this list. But man, I just really liked it. Both the phone call scenes, the scene with the homeless guy who breaks into his apartment, the scene with the pizza guy at the end. It not only makes you feel, but it makes you think. Number 2, Milk and Cereal. This was never going to be any lower than top 2 on the list. Not only is it feature length, which adds to the depth you can give to these characters, but it is just so creative. They don't go for all out scares all the time, but they hit all the beats they're trying to hit. I can see how the ending might have been disappointing for some, but it wasn't disappointing to me. I jumped straight into trying to figure out what really happened, and it stuck with me for much longer than you'd think it would. Similar to Real World, it makes you think about what makes a person kill and whether people around you are capable of killing. But number 1 is going to be Obsession, the horror film of 2026. It's incredible and it brings together literally everything from all his other films, so it's no surprise that it's number 1. I don't think I need to explain this film. If you haven't watched it, please go and watch it. Every single person who worked on Obsession will have their careers catapulted in the next few years. But there we go. That is my ranking of all of Kari Barker's films. Please let me know your favorites in the comments if you've already seen them, or if you go and watch them because of this video, which would be amazing. I'm so glad horror is having this moment right now. I love horror, and one of my favorite horror films is Talk to Me by Danny and Michael Filippo, who of course are the YouTube duo Raka Raka. It warms my heart to see YouTubers going on to make incredible films, and they're not YouTubers who are YouTubers and decide that they want to be a filmmaker all of a sudden. These people have been filmmakers all along, and we can see that from Barker's history. And I can understand not wanting to be pigeonholed as a YouTuber turned filmmaker. I love to see the creativity coming out of this platform. It's actually incredible. It's inspirational to me. I've written a couple horror scripts in my time, and maybe soon I will have the confidence to try and make one of them. But I digress. Thank you for watching this video. Please leave a comment below. That's my number 1. You can like if you want, you can subscribe if you want, but I want to see comments more than anything because it lets me know what people are enjoying and it lets me speak to people about these topics that I'm very interested in. So this is a very different type of video, my first video not on games. Yeah, thanks for indulging me, and I'll see you in the next one.